Oh, we're on.
Hey guys, it's David here from Young Actors Assembly. Sorry about that. I had a bit of a technical problem just then come up. But welcome everyone. It's really good to see everyone here live tonight. And I'm really, really proud and excited to be presenting to you a good mate of ours, Sam Corlett, and also a wonderful friend of ours, Adam Marks, who's going to be taking on board the role tonight of host at Young Actors Assembly. Adam and Sam went to acting school together. They are both graduates of the Western Australia Academy of Performing Arts. And yeah, I just want to say without any further ado, I just want to get Adam on board. Adam, are you there?
Hey.
G'day, mate.
How you going?
Yeah,
Dave,
good. How are you?
good to see you.
You too. Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm going to leave it with you.
Great.
Yeah, and I'll see you real soon.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I'll see you in a little bit.
See you, mate.
Right. Hey, guys. How you doing? I'm Adam. I am lucky enough to be teaching one of the classes at Young Actors Assembly, and I've absolutely loved the privilege of it. And I used to be a student, actually, at the Actors Assembly a few years ago. And to be able to be part of the company now, teaching and working with this younger generation is really inspiring. And David actually is really helped me actually to get into drama school myself. And it was there that I met the guest of tonight's Wednesday Q&A. His name's Sam. He's a very good friend of mine. He's done a lovely amount of work already, even having just finished drama school. He's been working recently, just finished rapping on The Adventures of Sabrina in Canada. Before that, he was lucky enough to work with Eric Bana on an Australian feature film called The Dry. I'd like to welcome Sam, please, if you're there.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, man.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show. It's an absolute pleasure and means the world, and it's just a great, great to see you.
Most welcome. And like just before we start, because it's Reconciliation Week here in Australia, just take a moment to pay our respects to the elders, past and present, of whatever lands we are all on, us Aussies, for those international listeners. And yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, man. A truly compassionate person. Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate it. And I know everyone does too. Yeah, welcome. This is really fun to be able to catch up with you and to talk to you. I know we went to WAPA together. We were lucky enough to be part of the 2018 graduating class of the acting program over in WA. Indeed. One of the best drama schools in the world, if not in the country. And I know that's where we met, and we've had so many chats like we're about to have right now, talking about the craft and why we love doing what we do. I'd like to start with taking it back to where we first met at the WAPA callback.
WAPA callback.
Yeah, I remember vividly sharing a really beautiful experience with you. I don't know if you remember it as well. I hope you do too. But I remember it was, obviously it's a very, very exciting kind of day. And we just run through the warm-up. There's about 50 people in the class.
Yes.
And I remember we had a break. They split the class into 2 groups. And we just did this great warm-up. We were supercharged, fully in our body, ready to go. Imagination's running wild. And I remember
we had to wait 2 hours.
We had to wait 2 hours. And what did we do? Do you remember how we dealt with that?
We did handstands down the hallway.
We did handstands down the hallway. That we did. I'll never forget that. And I will attribute that to getting in, or definitely one of the reasons. Even then we knew we had to still be there.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think one of the best things about the WAPA auditions, like even the first ones, is that it's like a workshop. You're going in there, like you don't feel like you're an isolated being, like just going for the gold. You're a group of people and you're learning together in the WAPA workshop, which is a fantastic experience. but yeah, it was cool. Like, yeah, that was great to keep our energy high, and then it was fun. I mean, your performance doing bottom from Midsummer, you needed to keep that energy up for sure.
That's right. I can remember a lot about that. But before we go to talking more specifically about the audition process, because I know we've got a lot of amazing young actors who are very excited to learn a little bit firsthand experience on some tips on how to get in. I thought we could talk a little bit more just generally about the experience for you. Like, how did you find drama school? Like the pitfalls or the excitements?
Yeah, for myself, well, I came to acting quite late. I wasn't sure it was what I wanted to do. Like when I was in grade 10, I had to speak at assemblies because I was captain of rugby and basketball at my high school, and I used to get very, very nervous, a little bit like I am right now.
Yeah, fair enough.
And my mum, she suggested that I did drama to try to like get in front of an audience as much as possible and overcome that fear. And so that is what I did. And at the time, I had an amazing English teacher, and he kind of ignited in me a love for Shakespeare and for poetry and literature in general. And I also loved my art, and I felt as though the physical part of the sport that I was so invested in kind of all amalgamated and came together when I went into the drama room, and I remember doing my first monologue, and I was like, it felt pretty incredible.
Can you remember what it was, that first monologue?
Yes. No, I can't remember what it was from.
Right.
I remember that it made me feel extremely present, and I got to it felt amazing, not only for me to search within myself, but search within the context of that character in that play, and then share it. It was like quite an incredible experience. And then then I graduated high school, and I still didn't know what to do, and I was considering psychology or journalism, and did a couple of acting courses throughout that gap year, and came to realize through one of my coaches that journalism is researching and telling a story, and psychology is researching character. And it just kind of felt right. I intended to travel for 4 years and see where the world took me, but I came to acting, and it just felt right again, and auditioned for WAPA and was lucky enough to get in.
Yeah, for sure. I like what you said about literature and poetry. I know you've been a fan of writing and creating your own work and poetry since I've kind of known you. So that's really cool to hear from me that that's inspired you from kind of the beginning, before you even knew that you wanted to do the acting. And I feel like being well-rounded as a person is really helpful just to be an actor. Like
definitely. I was actually, like, you're talking about my writing. So I still do my stream of consciousness every morning.
Right. Oh, excellent.
Me and Adam did a book at WAPA called The Artist's Way. We did it as a class, and one of the exercises is to write 3 pages of whatever's in your mind, and you kind of just, sometimes I write like, what are you afraid of writing about right now? And then just dive into that. But I was writing myself today about like, if I want to be the most open, the most accepting of the circumstances before me, the most present, most mindful, most aware actor for my cast, my project, the project that I'm going into, you kind of need to be like that in life, you know? And so welcoming inspiration from anything, whether it be literature, whether it be from that crazy energy of the dog that you just saw in the park, you know, like, I think it all comes together.
And would you say that's like a really important element of kind of getting into drama school, having that kind of, I don't know, they use the term life experience, which I feel like might be sometimes a bit of a bum steer for some people.
Yeah.
Is it more about just being open and kind of just
I think they use the word life experience in a way, like, I feel as though we need to, I don't think it's life experience, like going through stuff and like travel so much, although all that stuff is amazing. I think it's more just being connected to yourself. I think often when people audition for drama school, they're trying to get to a certain goal or a certain idea of what they should be doing. I think it's just a returning to self and like allowing yourself to speak through the character, essentially.
Yeah, great. I like that. I've always found you to be like in touch with that side of yourself, which I think is great and such an irony considering you're a footy captain from the Central Coast. So I love that you're these two things met in the middle, which not just two things, you're many things, but those two things I've noticed from day dot when we first met, and I was like, cool, I like that. I like that. So Whopper, 3 years of training, rigorous training. How did you keep fit? How did you stay focused? Like, what did you kind of do to kind of stay on track and make sure you're doing the best work that you could do?
I think stemming yourself in the why, like why are you there? I think that allows for an overarching purpose, you know. And if I wanted to honor the roles that I got to experience and dive into, I needed to be the best version of myself, essentially. So I think keep on returning to that. These 2 pages actually behind me are a stream of consciousness I wrote on my phone when I was in 3rd year, and I was in a little bit of a rut, and I was like, return to it, return to it, return to that why, and return to those that inspire me and why. And I think that kind of helped.
Okay, I got a question from Jeremy, one of our actors. He's asking, which actors inspire you?
Jeremy, I've got like I think it's very important to have those inspirations, but the ones that really light my fire are like those Daniel Day-Lewis, Gary Oldman, Joaquin Phoenix, obviously, and then I kind of like look at those that kind of may have a similar career trajectory to me or to what I'd like. And so I admire the likes of River Phoenix, Heath Ledger, and even Robert Pattinson, in that he used his commercial look to lean into that, and then in order to do the independent films that he's done. And I think
he's exceptional.
Yeah, Heath Ledger did a similar thing, and like he didn't want to be trapped in that idea that people thrust on him. He kind of like did the small part in Monsters Ball, which was brilliant.
Yeah, great. Well said. So let's go back to talking about the audition process for Whopper. How would you describe that?
Yeah, as I said, it was like a workshop. It was my first time auditioning for Whopper, and as soon as I left it, I was like, my God. Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm talking about Whopper, but the audition process in general. Do you want me to speak about general or specific to?
No, speak about for you. I mean, we've got a lot of young actors who they want to do it, but they don't have no idea what to expect. So yeah, whatever you can share about that experience, walking into the room, kind of what you prepared, what you felt like you did well, or perhaps didn't, what you wished you knew.
Sure. Well, first of all, pick pieces that resonate with you. If there's something that you're trying to say, does this piece like actually like allow part of yourself to express yourself in that way? I was lucky enough. I did Edmund from King Lear, and I did a monologue in which this guy was kind of considering taking his life. And I think the injustice that Edmund feels, even though he's a villain, like justifying the unjustifiable and like really feeling what his pain must be, was exciting for me to explore. And also the depression that this guy's gone through, I also found curious, and I was also curious in, and was eager to explore. And then like read the plays, obviously, get as much knowledge in the character as possible. I mean, my process is much different to how it was in the auditions, just because of experience. But essentially, be in a state of play. Don't be stuck onto something that that this is the only way to do it. You know, be malleable, welcome direction. That's definitely a huge thing that when I was on the other side of auditions and helping out, that's what I saw the teachers were looking for.
Yeah, great. I like that. The sense of play. We love that at the Young Actors Assembly. I think a lot of our friends and students know that. And it's such a lovely thing. Going off that, I remember the direction that was given to you at the callback. Do you remember what you had to do? Can you tell us? Because
Yes.
obviously, you get up there and you do the, you've got 2 monologues and you do it in front of about 25 or so people and the judges. And then it's the time where they say, hey, let's workshop this. What did I remember it was Andrew Lewis. What did he ask you to do?
So it's interesting because here I am. I was doing the monologue in which this guy's on a motorbike and he's imagining if he took his life right now, if he turned this corner and this car came and hit him, and he saw these 2 lights, and it was quite like doing the monologue. I was, welcoming a space that was a little bit scary for me, which was like scary for the character as well. And then the teachers were like, all right, Sam, we've got an actor here from 2nd year. I was wondering if you could just hop on his back and pretend he's a motorbike and do the same monologue, same space, but make the noises of a motorbike. So I was like, saying the line. It was like crazy. And like, you just have to be like, yep, let's do it. I welcome it.
Yeah, and you did. You did.
It was quite hilarious. And then the iPad that they were filming on ran out of charge, which I was kind of thankful for, and we switched it up a bit, and and got thrown that I was actually speaking to a facet of myself that was standing on a chair, looking down as if it was a building, and it became a bit more real again for me, and continued the rest of the monologue.
Yeah, great. And do you feel like obviously we had a lot of fun that day, and we played a lot and we got to play. Did you feel like you killed it after the audition? Did you walk out of there being like, I totally got in, or was there definitely uncertainty?
With artists in general, is like there is always a sense of dissatisfaction or a yearning to do better again, and like that kind of is what keeps us going. But there have been a few moments in my life where I've like just out of nowhere felt this huge feeling that like an overwhelming, like it's happening, it's going to happen. And yeah, Whopper was definitely one of them. I remember like I was just chilling, like must have been after a shower or something. I just walked into my room and I ended up screaming into my pillow. I was like, it's happening. And then another one of the drama schools that I auditioned for, I got a call in the morning saying, look, you're on the reserve list, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen for you. And I was like, okay, wrapping my head around that. And then I was outside my house doing acrobatic yoga with my brother's girlfriend and missed a call. And then I went and picked up the phone and called, and I heard a missed call from Glenda, and it was Glenda Lynn Scott, the head of acting at Whopper, and I called her and she said I got in, and I was pretty elated. And I had my whole family in the house, and it was pretty spectacular. And that was definitely a moment that I kept on returning to throughout Whopper, because and I also say that to a lot of first years that get in, to remember that phone call, because it does get pretty hard during Whopper. You go through definite ups and downs, and remembering that feeling, I guess, just as we were talking about just before the call, gratitude, that definitely kept us going.
Yeah, I agree. That phone call is a beautiful one. And yeah, it inspired me greatly to keep going through that whole 3 years.
Yeah.
We shared many, many beautiful moments playing many intricate, fun characters, dancing, singing, absolutely being fools on stage, and also very serious as well. What would you say, like one of your highlights, like one of the characters that you played at Whopper, who would a highlight be for you?
Well, there's a lot. Just you speaking then, I was thinking of As You Like It, when we just got to write music like based on the words that Shakespeare wrote, and we just kind of jammed outside and created songs. And that was like, I don't think my role even had a name, but I had so much fun in that production.
Did you play a harmonica? I feel like I remember you on a harmonica ladder.
I did. And the ukulele.
Yeah.
But the end of first year play was pretty incredible. We did Holy Day, Andrew Bovell, and working with our head of acting, Glenda, it felt like we turned this studio into such a sacred space. And I was in a situation where I had to play two roles, which was quite difficult in that, like, I had to switch with the other man playing the other role, Michael. And like he would go through his blocking and I'd have to be this more passive role and he would be the aggressor, and then we'd switch, but I had to use his blocking. And so it was like finding your impulses within someone else's impulses that had already been. So that was interesting, but like that experience, like that was our first time doing a full play together. And that's something that I always hold precious. And then also being able to do Stanley Kowalski in Streetcar was an absolute pleasure. And in like I remember getting asked if it was daunting going in, and yes, it was, because of like obviously the history of the play, but always realizing that it's a different director, different actors, and different time. And so it was just fun to explore that area. Then also doing like the Shakespeare scenes where I got to play that kind of camp, flamboyant flirt.
Oh, you were excellent at that. That was really fun. I want to see you do more of that stuff. That was great.
Yeah, I didn't do much of that stuff in third year.
A lot of the stuff you did, and I loved your work as Stanley. And Andrew Bovell, like we've been looking at Andrew Bovell's work over the last few weeks and last time as well. A beautiful writer.
Absolutely.
Holiday that was definitely one of the best plays I think our year put together. So that was really great.
I think that's what I'd say, like above most things Whopper provides is the experience of working with great literature, like we were saying, like being able to dive into Andrew Bovell, Arthur Miller, Shakespeare, Tennessee Williams. I mean, like it's such a gift just to have the time to explore. And so when people do ask me, is acting school a necessary thing? Like often I say, like, it's an experience that that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. I found so much growth, and you're working on your instrument every day. You're just jamming. It's literally just a 3-year jam session.
Totally.
And you never really get that time. And so I am an advocate for it, but I do appreciate that there are some people that learn on the jobs and have something special or certain talents that may not definitely need it. But I definitely think guidance is always helpful. Like even like Leonardo DiCaprio returning to Larry Moss, even though going to Larry Moss, even though he'd had a career. There's always somewhere deeper we can go.
Yeah, the training never stops, hey? Never stops. And yeah, that's a really good point to bring up. Getting into drama school isn't a be all or an end all. Not getting in doesn't mean you won't have a career. You've worked with countless amazing, international actors who I'm sure didn't go and have fantastic careers. So it's just a pathway. If you're on it, you're on it. If you're not, that's fine too. And wherever your path will lead will be amazing.
I think the great thing about untrained actors is their openness and malleability, and I think that's something to hold on even through like acting schools, or even through like classes, like being like, this is like a tool for me, this isn't a rule for me, it's like something I can use and play with, but it's not a law, you know. Often we're like, this is the only way to do it, but like some of the rules that we apply on ourselves is just like a muting our or a dulling our colors.
Yeah, well said. So drama school, excellent, 3 years. Eventually, you know, we had to leave into the real world of professional acting. Let's talk a little bit about auditioning. How do you deal with audition nerves coming into that? And I'd love your tips on self-taping and yeah, your thoughts about the audition process as an actor.
It's funny, I'm a little nervous tonight. I think like I don't know, I often don't feel nerves, but I want to feel nerves. But I think just like I think it's probably because I'm being myself here. I think often with auditions, I was lucky enough to work with Elizabeth Kemp, and she very much spoke about diving into the child of a character, the subconscious of a character, exploring your dreams and what the character might be saying through your dreams, and often like moments in the character's childhood that kind of make him who he is. And I feel like just diving into those experiences and almost meeting the character's child self allowed me to feel a connection that I just wanted to honor this role, honor this spirit that I get to dance with for this moment. And I don't know how I developed it, but often if I don't get the role, I just say, like, I almost say to the character, like, I wish you all the best with whatever vessel has the capacity to honor you. And and I feel like I don't really feel rejection that harshly. I feel like, yes, it is like you can, like, you do make up in your mind or imagine what your life could change to. But I think just returning to honoring the character right now, and that's an exercise and that's a gift right now. And I get to, like Bryan Cranston says, like the opportunity to audition is like an opportunity to work. And this is our joy.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously we got to, you know, drama school, you get to do it every day, but you know, in the real world, you don't in the same space. So that's a beautiful sentiment, honoring the character and that opportunity. Yeah,
I think creating a relationship with your character, and like that also allows you to explore a relationship with part of yourself that you never got to, and that's exciting. I think you're stretching and expanding yourself as you're going for auditions. Like that's pretty sick. And your idea of like places in history, like, yeah,
very cool. Would you say you do more in the room auditions, or have you been self-taping? I know obviously with COVID-19, self-taping is much more prevalent. Like, what are your thoughts about that? Would you prefer one or the other?
I'm pretty easy either way. Like I said, I kind of like nerves, and so being present in the room allows me to elevate to. It makes me feel like I need to elevate to another level. Yeah. When self-taping, though, that's like we've self-taped together numerous times. I think that you're able to create a sacred space, like chuck on music, get into the right mood, a few candles, blow them out, get in there, do it, have a jam sesh. But I think a great setup is always good. I've always had my blue screen. I've got a tripod, nice camera with a light on top of it. All of which I actually learned from Dacre when I read for him during first year. He had the exact same setup, and it's kind of it's easy to travel with.
Yeah, for sure. For those who don't know, Dacre Montgomery, also a Whopper actor, been performing on Stranger Things at the moment. And excellent young actor and person. Lovely guy.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, cool. Really nice. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. So actually, I've got a question from someone about getting into character. How do you go about it? You mentioned something about music, but do you have any other specific kind of ways of doing that?
To draw upon examples that are known, Caliban, I was going through a very much like a doors and in excess phase, like just listening to music. A bit of a mantra for me, like just before action, is I welcome anything and everything. That kind of opens me up to any inspiration. And I actually started that during one of our productions, Momentum, which we were able to collaborate with Andy Paris with. But yeah, and at the time I got the audition for Sabrina. I was listening to a lot of Jim Morrison and a lot of Michael Hutchence, and I was like, Prince of Hell, that's a pretty cool energy to kind of carry with you. And so I ended up just, I was listening to them. I'd press pause and have my reader there, and we'd just go straight into the scene, and I'd feel that energy. And yeah, that would you like me to explain that audition process?
I'd love to. I'm sure viewers would love to know. Yeah, please. I'd love to know the casting process for Sabrina. Yeah, do tell.
I'll return to more character later.
Yeah, sure.
But I received the audition on Monday. I was down in Sydney. I'm from the Central Coast, an hour and a half north of Sydney, so I often go up and down. And on my drive back, I actually listened to the first episode of Sabrina, just to kind of again, I think auditory is something big for me. So just to start getting on those vibes. And then I watched 2 episodes that night. I taped on Tuesday, and I sent that off. And then I got notes from the showrunner Wednesday, and the notes were along the lines of more fun and more light, which is very unspecific. But I was like, okay, a bit more playful. And so I didn't have a reader. I set up my camera and I printed off a picture of Kiernan's face, the Kiernan Shipka who plays Sabrina. And I stuck it on a mic stand next to the camera. And I just did it to that piece of paper, and I left space in between in which I edited the audio from the tape before and placed it afterwards in post. And I sent that off on Wednesday. And then I got a call Thursday saying, you're going to have to hop on a plane tomorrow. They want you on the table for the table read. So do you want the gig? And I was like, absolutely. And so I packed 2 suitcases. I was waiting for the time for the call and as to when my flight would be. And I slept for 2 hours. I was filling out all the visa forms, and hopped on a plane the next day at 10, arrived at 10 in Vancouver because we gain a day, and hopped off the plane, chucked my gear down at the hotel, had a quick shower, hopped in the car again, and went straight to set for the first table read, and I met everyone, and that journey began.
Crazy. So your first audition on a Tuesday, and the following Monday you said you were doing the table read?
Friday.
That Friday. So a handful of days.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's strange with TV because like so much has not been created yet. And so like in terms of character, it was very good practice in playing the moment in front of you, because like there was no, where we've been doing plays for 3 years, or like in The Dry, I knew the whole arc of the character, and you can kind of curate what the waves of this character. With TV, it's very much just like jump in and explore that moment only.
Yeah, excellent. Right now, I just want to do a shout out. We've got people from all over the world watching this today.
Is that right?
People in Brazil and England, New York City, Turkey. People up at 4:30 a.m. Thank you so much for being here. I'm sure
Appreciate it.
you're exhausted. I hope this is lively. I'm sure it is, because I'm having a great time. And we appreciate you at the Young Actors Assembly
Yes.
that you're watching you here with us today. Going back to Sabrina, though, because I know we've got people who are enjoying that show in the audience. So what was it like working for Netflix? Let's start there.
Sure. Amazing. I mean, the amount of love that goes into these productions is incredible. Everyone from Angus Strathy, who's a costume designer, to Lisa Soper, who's designs the sets, and she directed an episode as well. There's just so much camaraderie on set. On Sabrina in particular, I was very fortunate, and all the cast was so welcoming. Yeah, with Netflix, I mean, they are pumping out some beautiful content at the moment, so it's very I'm very grateful to be part of that family. Yeah, going to the costume guy, Angus Strathy, he speaking about the Jim Morrison, Michael Hutchins vibe, like I came to him with the photos of like my inspiration for the audition, and he catered the costume for my inspiration, which was incredible.
Oh,
Yeah.
excellent. Wow.
But,
I guess that's it shows to have those, to take ownership, like you've been saying, of your characters and for your auditions, to kind of have a clear idea of the character you want to put forward, or the person you're playing, and like be them 100%.
Yeah, well, I think like you've been hired for what you have to offer, and I think you'd be doing everyone a disservice if you didn't speak up on what you feel like you can offer. Yeah, coming to the costume place and being like, this is the vibe, because they had a very different idea, but luckily they were very collaborative and we were able to create something together.
Yeah,
It's a
excellent.
blessing.
I've been rewatching a lot of Mad Men recently. Please tell me how was working with Ken. And she's, as a child actor, she was fantastic, and she's obviously even better now. What was that experience like?
It was amazing. She's an absolute pleasure to work with, and she works so hard, and she's an amazing example to have on set, because she really gave no one the excuse to complain, because she never did. And she was so present with every person that arrived on set, no matter where they worked. And yeah, it was fun just to jam with her. Yeah,
great.
She was fantastic.
And you obviously you were filming that in Canada.
Yes.
Correct? In Vancouver?
Vancouver, yeah.
Great. How did you find living away from home? Obviously you'd done it at WAPA for a while, but how was that kind of going to set every day and having your own time?
Well, I think WAPA kind of helped with that, because I lived over the other side of the country for drama school. But yeah, there was definitely moments where you get quite lonely. But working on a project for 10 months is a long time compared to what we were used to doing, 3 months of a show, if that, 2 months of a show. And so it was like, Vancouver itself is a beautiful place. The cast, I made some of the best friends, and I'll be connected with them forever. And I think there's something special in that, similar to us in Perth, that not many people on the cast were from Vancouver. And so we're all in search of family while we're there. And so the bonds that you create are very quick and very strong. And so at the start, when I was like very much in hell and the rest of the crew were on earth, it was interesting, because every time they were working, I wasn't, and I was looking to hang. And every time I was working, they were free. So, but we ended up finding our equilibrium, and the weekends were fantastic.
Excellent. Yeah, really nice. I really enjoyed the photos that you shared of your times over in Vancouver. I
Yeah, well,
know.
that's it. It's not just Sabrina there. Like, so much filmed in Vancouver, and so hanging with our like kind of sibling show, Riverdale, and yeah, it was cool just to kind of meet all these different artists coming from around the world.
Yeah, and it sounds like everyone was so accepting and just ready to say hello and meet a new face.
Very much so.
Sabrina, obviously 10 months, that's a lot. How did you go about learning those lines when you had to shoot those long days? What was your process like for that?
I think with the practice that you just get from even auditioning, like it comes, you kind of my process, I guess, I often record some of the other characters' lines, and so I can like just while I'm walking down the street, often when I have an accent, I find this helps because it kind of picks out where I'm being false. So if I'm doing an American accent audition or English or whatever it may be, putting on earphones and walking in the street around people, you kind of become conscious of how you're speaking, and it can like bring it down to a level of reality. And also you learn your lines very quickly. It's like you're on the phone kind of thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, great.
So I did that, but also on set, there was many people that weren't afraid to just jam quickly before we did the scene as well, which was always nice. And it's very quick working on a show like Sabrina. Like sometimes you don't get the script until the day before you're shooting, and you might be shooting all your scenes for that next episode in one day. And so you really need to be ready and be on your toes with that stuff. And yeah, you find a way.
Yeah, you do. I know you're a healthy guy. Is food a big part of that for you? And fitness?
Yeah, fitness for sure. I feel like that gives me clarity of mind, keeps me sane, and makes it easy to go to sleep at night. I've been plant-based for 2.5 years now, and so I feel like that always keeps me feeling clean and feeling energized. But yeah, I think there was a thing that Sterling K. Brown said was cultivating your craft means cultivating your life. And I think I used our 3 years at drama school to kind of explore all those different avenues, and whether it be different forms of meditation. I practice meditation 20 minutes every morning, and I still do my morning pages. And I feel like having that time for myself to connect with the world on that level is really important to me, and important for my creativity, important to my openness, like I was saying. And yeah, I think cultivating your life and that openness to life allows for an openness in your work, for sure.
Beautiful. Well said. Yeah, and you can tell about you, and that's what I've always appreciated about you, just that rigor to be good here, and then the rest kind of follows. So Sabrina, yeah, big show. I know before that, earlier last year, I think it was last year, maybe the year before, you worked, lucky enough to work with Eric Banner on The Dry, an Australian feature film. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, so The Dry hasn't come out yet. We're still a bit unsure on the date due to all the business that's going on in the world. But it was pretty incredible. It's a beautiful story, and we were able. It's an Australian story, which is always nice for an actor to be able to use their own voice. And Eric Banner was the producer on board, and Robert Connolly was directing, and Eric Banner also played the lead role. I didn't get to jam opposite Eric, but he was on set while I was, an absolute like legend of a bloke. I mean, the work he's done is incredible, and yeah, he was very lovely. Like, we had a week of rehearsals. There was 4 of us playing in a certain time during the film, and yeah, he came into the room, and yeah, it was really beautiful. Really
Yeah,
beautiful.
great. Did you notice any difference? Obviously, there would be differences working, you know, in Australia and Canada, but between like the productions itself, between
Yeah.
the Sabrina.
Well, I mean, completely different genres and vibes. The director Robert Connolly did an amazing job in creating a very a free space for us to explore, and us four youngsters kind of came in for a week before, and it was for rehearsals, and like they were fantastic, but really just we were all staying in the same hotel, and that camaraderie was so important, and that comfortability with each other, because we were playing kind of boyfriend girlfriend kind of vibes. It was really nice to just feel comfortable touching each other, and like and because we ended up going into quite improvisational states like on set, that was so important, and it yeah, allowed for a lot of ease on set.
Yeah,
But
lovely.
yeah, in contrast, I mean, that was like Rob Connolly was great at creating that independent feel, and that we were all a team and collaborating together on kind of like something that was small and sacred, whereas the grandeur of Sabrina was so large. But although the intimacy in which you worked with people was not lost at all, like Kiernan often organised gatherings in which like all cast and crew would come over to hers, and like we were so tight, and it was such like a beautiful community. But it is very different, the vibes in like all Australian versus American, Vancouver. Yeah,
different people, I guess, and different
different in that
backgrounds.
sense that, I in the sense that obviously I was joining the second season, the third part of the show, and so, and it was like, yeah, it was interesting the way in which there was almost there's like a certain adoration for actors in America, where in Australia, because we have the kind of tall poppy syndrome, it does create a humility and a togetherness of like where there's no hierarchy. And it was weird going over there and being like brushed to the front of the line for lunch, and I was like, no, you guys are working just as hard as me, please. I'm gonna stand back. That was kind of funny.
Yeah, I can imagine. And you don't live with ego, which I love about you. And it's something that I know we teach at Yara as well, is to just not put people on pedestals and not put yourself on a pedestal. And it's nice to see that you had to experience that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it was beautiful though.
Yeah, nice. So I know you take photos, you're creative, you write. What else have you been doing? Have you been experiencing these things during isolation? Like, have you been keeping creative?
Yeah, I think, I mean, now's a better time than ever to like unravel and like go inward. I think like often we can get caught up in seeking outside things to feel happiness within us, but I think like I feel like even the past month, like I might say to someone, yeah, I'm well and I'm feeling good, but I always feel like each day I'm reaching a different level of like surrendering to what is right now. It's a weird thing to accept because there's such an unclear end, but I feel as though we're all in it together. And creativity in any form is definitely an outlet of whatever we may be feeling. And so I am collaborating with a few people in a few different areas. I'm designing rings with some of my friends in Byron Bay, and I'm doing illustrations for a friend's poetry book, and go out for hikes and take photos, exercise, and
Right.
yeah, my morning practice is very much keeping me of like meditation, morning pages, stretch, move, have a boogie.
I like that. It sounds really well-rounded. Kind of going off what you're saying, I know social media is important for actors these days. Do you agree? Like, how do you kind of deal with Instagram and Facebook? Do you think people need it or need a following or not?
Well, I mean, some of our favorite actors don't have it, so but it is it's an interesting tool to have, and I think seeing it as that and not placing your value on that is very important. You know, not seeing followers or likes or comments as defining things in your life. I think like often you can get caught up in that. Oh, he only got that gig because he's got that followers, or he's only doing that because he's recognized. I think that doesn't serve you at all. So I think I like to use it as I like to curate kind of little bits and pieces of what's going on in my life through it. And so I chuck up my photography. Often my the photos of myself are with photographers that I know and respect, and then I like to chuck up a few of my drawings. But yeah, it is definitely a way to connect with people and connect with the beautiful like followers of the show, and it's a nice place to connect for sure. And I'm very grateful for that opportunity. And when it came to my birthday, I very much took it as a time when I was receiving a lot of love to give love straight back, and that was really nice. It was nice to just be like, even just like a comment on someone's photo saying like often people are creating with my art. Like there's a girl who's making shirts with my drawings on it, except stitching it on it, and I was like, that's really beautiful. Wow. I'd love that's happening.
Yeah, great. I love what we do. Like we make art and then it bounces off someone's art and then inspires the next. And it's this beautiful circle of life that kind of continues on. And we only got it from someone else. Like we've been inspired from someone else.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's like the gift of what we do. Like we're kind of like the myth tellers of our time. I just watched Marriage Story like a month ago, and I thought like, what a beautiful time capsule. Yes, tragic, but of like the masculine and feminine energies of our time. And that I felt like that was like a myth that is going to stand out. And that like we as audience members, like when we go see a movie, we're not just seeing like the projection of an image on the screen, we're seeing a projection of ourselves. And it's a gift to be both the receiver and the transmitter of that. Like when we go see, whether it be like Batman, like we see the morality and the strength in him, but we also look at the Joker and think, wow, that's also in me, you know, and that is exciting. So I feel like we get to serve others by serving ourselves as well.
Yeah, great. Over the course of your career so far, what's probably been your favorite project or performance that you've done?
Well, globally, there's only the two projects that on my credentials. I loved working on both. The Dry, I found such an authenticity working with that cast and crew, and then working on the Dry on Sabrina. I came to realize the importance of levity on set, and bringing in a speaker and playing music and literally dancing with Michelle Gomez and Luke Cook onto set before a scene was like, that became a bit of a ritual. And like, that was something that I never really did in Whopper. Like I was quite getting in the zone all the time. But I think looking back, like that still, despite being so fun, was sacred. And I feel like the moments that, yeah, we were playing harmonica and you were playing guitar on set, that felt sacred. Or the time that we brought in a random monologue that we wrote for Andy Paris that was sharing a piece about soul, that was sacred. And I feel like they're the kind of experiences I yearn for more. A space in which we're welcoming, like, yeah, a sacred energy.
Beautiful.
Put simply.
Just before we finish up, we're going to do a thing. I've got 10 more questions for you, but we're going to answer them in 10 seconds.
Oh, wait.
You can.
Well, I've only got 10 seconds to answer.
Yeah, so I'm going to go one. I'm going to give you a question. You're going to give me an answer. I get a question. You give me an answer.
Woo!
All right, you ready to roll? You ready to roll?
I'm scared.
Okay, number one, best thing you learned playing Caliban.
Levity.
Excellent. What is your life motto?
My life motto. Oh, bro, that's a big one. Lead with curiosity and awe, and leave love in my wake.
Beautiful. Favorite artist?
Jeff Buckley.
Beautiful. Favorite book?
Wait, artist in painting?
Whatever. Yeah, whatever.
Jeff Buckley.
Beautiful. Favorite book?
Oh, can I say a few?
Yeah.
The Power of the Alchemist, The Prophet.
Oh, I love all those three. You're amazing. What words or phrases do you most overuse? Done. Favorite TV show at the moment? Or in general?
Oh, this is stressful. TV show. Oh, I loved Euphoria.
Great.
Well, that was
Excellent.
incredible.
Yeah, that was, love HBO. When were you most happy?
Just jamming about life with my sister, who's also
Right.
at Whopper right now.
That she is. Where would you like to live if you could live anywhere in the world?
Oh man. To have a home, Byron Bay would be pretty beautiful.
Beautiful. Favorite poet?
I did say The Prophet, so Cahill Gibran, T.S. Eliot, E.E. Cummings. Yeah.
Done. I love it. And question number 10, what's the best advice you could give our young audience?
Man. Love what you do, find space, and serve the best you can. Follow your bliss.
Beautiful. What a great image and idea to end on. Sam, thank you so much for coming on this Q&A with the Young Actors Assembly. It's been an honor, as always, to talk with you about what I love talking about so much. I wish you all the best. Have a lovely day. I'm sure you've got some exciting stuff coming up.
There's some exciting stuff I cannot speak about at all.
Oh, even better. And I'm sure all the people watching can't wait to experience that. Guys, thank you so much for everyone who tuned in.
Thank you to everyone tuning in. I appreciate it. And YAA, thank you for having me. And all those people around the world, I appreciate love and support.
Yeah, lovely. Now you guys get to go to bed or have dinner. One of the two. Sam, you're a legend. Thank you so much. I love you, brother. Peace out.
Bye.
Catch you later.